I'm not wearing any makeup, but I did have a facial this morning, and so my skin is literally glowing. Look at that. It was a hydrofacial. It was very bougie, very fancy, and I feel incredible. But if you look at me and you're like, oh, there's no makeup there, that's why. I'm fresh-faced, I'm young, it's fine. I figured I would come at you today with a really quick, very informal book haul because I got a load of Waterstones vouchers for my birthday, which is just the best possible present you could get me. Like, you don't know what's by me? Get me book vouchers, honestly. And so I bought a whole load of gay books. I was going to film this in like short form for a YouTube short, but I figured, you know what, I've got time, let's just do a full proper video. And I'm just going to jump in because the first book I got was Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. I read the first one in this series, I think it's called Written in the Stars, and I adored Alexandria Bellefleur's writing. There was just something about the way she wrote her characters. Obviously it was a lesbian romance or a sapphic romance. I just really loved the way that she wrote. It felt so real, like I literally felt like I was there living the story alongside the characters. And then I was really disappointed to hear that the second one in the series featured a straight presenting romance. I don't know if one of them was bi, whatever, but it was like male, female. And I love my bi girlies being in relationships with their men. I love it, you do you boo, but that's not personally what I want to read about in my books. So when I heard that the third one in the series was back to her sapphic roots, I was very happy. This is about Margot, who I think was the roommate of the main character in the first book. And it sounds really good, so let me just read the blurb real quick. While touring a wedding venue with her engaged friends, who I hope are like the couple from the first book, Margot comes face to face with Olivia Grant, her childhood friend, her first love, her first, well, everything. It's been 10 years, but the moment they lock eyes, Margot's cold, dead heart thumps in her chest. I love that. That sounds so good. Also, these books are so steamy. So steamy. Alexandria Bellefleur writes those sex scenes like no other. Like, I'm yet to find anyone that actually beats her. That's controversial, but it's true. I picked up Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendes. I know my best friend Luke read this a while ago and he said it was really good and he thought I'd enjoy it, and then I just didn't pick it up forever. So when I was searching for my books in Waterstones, I literally went in with like a list on my phone of all these books, and I was with Holly and I was like, right, you look for this author and I'll look for this author, and we'll like meet in the middle. Loads of the authors I had on my list, they just like, the books just weren't in there. So this was like one of my reserves. I wasn't like super bothered about it, but actually reading the blurb, it does sound really interesting. This is set in the Black Country in the 1950s. Ex-boxer Norman Alonso is a determined and humble Jamaican who'd moved to Britain with his wife to secure a brighter future for them and their children. At the turn of the millennium, Jesse seeks a fresh start in London, escaping from a broken immediate family, a repressive religious community, and the desolate, disempowered Black Country, but finds himself at a loss for a new centre of gravity and turns to sex work to create new notions of love, fatherhood, and spirituality. That sounds really good. I love anything queer history, you know me. So I'm intrigued. I feel like this is going to be one of those books that just sits on my shelf for ages because it sounds really heavy and I just can't bring myself to read it. Like, I've literally had The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne on my shelf just staring at me for probably about a year and a half now, and I can't bring myself to read it because I know it's going to break my heart into a million pieces. And also it's like, she's chunky. How many pages is this? 700 pages of book. That's a lot of books, 700 pages. I just read Those Who Wait by Hayley Cass on my Kindle, and that was like 650 pages or something. And I didn't realise it was that long going in, and I adored that book so much. If you haven't read Those Who Wait, read it. I gave it 5 stars. But that was 650 pages, and that was like a romance, so it's like quite an easy read, whereas that's 700 pages, and it's trauma, from what I've heard, so I'm putting it off, and I'll probably do the same with this one, I'm sure. Talking of trauma, another book to join the legion of books that I don't read because they're too heavy. This is The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. I have seen lots of people saying this is really similar to A Little Life, but like less traumatic. I think this is a split narrative, so it's set in Chicago in 1984 and Paris in 2015. The Great Believers is a story of how love can both rescue and destroy us. A thrilling, addictive novel full of characters whom the readers come to know as friends, colleagues and lovers. That gives very little away about what the story is actually about. That literally gives you nothing. I'm pretty sure it's about the AIDS crisis. Yeah. A moving story about Chicago and Paris, the past and the present, the young men lost to AIDS, and the ones who survived. A poignant work of memoir. So that does sound like something I would very much enjoy if I can ever bring myself to read it. And I intend to. That's why I bought it. And so many of you have told me to read this book, like literally I can't even count how many of you have told me that I need to read this, so I'm sure I will enjoy it. Much lighter, we have She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott and Alison Derrick. Can you believe I haven't read this book yet? Because I can't believe it. Like, I've literally seen this all over the internet, like everywhere I look, this book pops up. Every list of like sapphic books you should read, this is like the top one, and I just hadn't read it, so I'm very excited. I just don't really like the cover. Maybe that's controversial, but this cover just doesn't really do it for me. I think that's why I didn't pick it up for so long, but we will see. Also, it's by the co-author of 5 Feet Apart, and I love that book so much, so we'll see. Alex is headstrong with a dash of chaos and a lot of flirt. Molly is completely in love with the impossibly cool Cora. When their paths cross unexpectedly, Alex and Molly realise they might have something in common. If Alex can help Molly get her dream girl, she can prove to her ex that she is serious about love. But as the two work on their plans to get the girls to fall for them, could they be the ones falling for each other? Just sounds like a very cute YA. I assume this is YA. I'm pretty sure it is romance. Infamous by Lex Croucher. I have followed Lex online for so many years and I haven't read any of their books yet. This is meant to be Bridgerton, but for the gays, and that sounds like something I would very much be interested in because I love Bridgerton. It is like the straightest thing about me. I adore that show so much. How many times have I watched season 2 just for Kate and Anthony? I couldn't tell you, but I love it. So Bridgerton for the gays, I'm all over it, I'm all there. 22-year-old aspiring writer Edith Eddie Miller and her best friend Rose have always done everything together. Climbing trees, throwing grapes at boys, sneaking bottles of wine, practicing kissing, relatable. Now that they're out in society, Rose is suddenly talking about marriage and Eddie is horrified. When Eddie meets charming, renowned poet and rival to Lord Byron, Nash Nicholson, that's what a name, he invites her to his crumbling Gothic estate in the countryside. The entourage of eccentric artists indulging in pure hedonism is exactly what Eddie thinks she needs in order to finish her novel and make a name for herself. But Eddie might discover that trying to keep up with her literary heroes isn't all poems and literature. No? Where did I get literature from? Isn't all poems and pleasure. It's about writing. I love books about writing and I love books about gays, so I'm sure I'm going to love this. Neon Roses by Rachel Dawson. This is about lesbians and gay support the minors. I had this on my list of books to read, like my 2023 books I want to read, and then I went to buy it so many times so they only ever had the hardback, and I really don't like reading hardback books unless it's like something I've waited for a really, really long time. I will not buy the hardback. So I waited, I was patient, and it's finally in paperback, finally. So this is set in the 80s during the miners' strike. The main character here is called Elend. I think that's a Welsh name. I'm gonna have to Google how to actually pronounce that properly. I'm really sorry to anybody called Elend. E-U-L-N-E-D. Elend? I will Google it before I read the book. 1984, in a valley in South Wales, the miners' strike is ravaging her community. Her sister swanned off with a Thatcherite policeman and her boyfriend Lloyd keeps bringing up marriage. And if they play 99 Red Balloons on the radio one more time, she just might lose her mind. Then the fundraising group Lesbians and Gay Support the Miners comes down from London and she meets June, a snaggletooth blonde in a too big leather jacket. Suddenly, Elend isn't stuck anymore, she's in free fall. Again, we all know how much I love queer history. I made a video on Lesbians and Gay Support the Miners last year and I enjoyed researching that so much. If you've ever seen the movie Pride, that is obviously based on Lesbians and Gay Support the Miners as well. I can't wait to read this, honestly, I'm so excited. And it's quite short as well, it is just under 300 pages, which sometimes you just need a little palate cleanser of a book. But I think this book, Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth, is the one that I'm most excited for in this video. This has been sold to me as Call Me By Your Name, but for the lesbians, and I adore Call Me By Your Name so much. Like, that book has such a special place in my heart. Before I realised how like problematic it was, I read it many, many years ago. And now like Call Me By Your Name's kind of got this like, it's slightly tainted because like now when I read it I'm like, oh, it's a bit gross, isn't it? So this is Call Me By Your Name, but for lesbians, without the weird kind of gross age gap. It's the early 1990s and in the Irish village of Crossmore, 15-year-old Lucy feels out of place. Despite her fierce friendship, she's always felt this way and the conventional path of marriage and motherhood doesn't appeal to her at all. Not even with handsome and doting Martin, her closest childhood friend. Lucy begins to make sense of herself during a long hot summer when a spark with her school friend Susanna escalates to an all-consuming infatuation and very quickly to a desperate and devastating love. This just sounds like what it is to be a lesbian teenager, just like falling for your best friend, and it just like takes over your entire body and your entire being. I'm getting emails, ignore that noise, I'm not saying all that again. I can't wait to read this. People have said this is literally incredible and it is getting rave reviews. It's been shortlisted for all these awards. I think it's going to be amazing. And considering that it's currently so hot here in the UK, I'm literally filming this and sweating profusely. It might be time to read this. And the final 2 books I got are the weird girls of the group. This is Milk Fed by Melissa Broder and this is Big Swiss by Jen Begin. I love a weird book, just like an absurdist, strange, weird novel. And I wasn't really into weird books until I read Diquette, which is up here somewhere, I don't know. I read Diquette by Jenny Davis? I can't remember her name. But that book was so weird and it put me on such like a weird book hype that I'm so excited to read these now. The quote about this book from Vogue literally reads, "Milk-fed gathers strands of faith, hunger, queerness, lust and loneliness and braids them into a fully risen challah of human experience." Like, what? Rachel is 24, a lapsed Jew who has made calorie restriction her religion. By day she maintains an illusion of control by way of obsessive food rituals. At night she pedals to nowhere on the elliptical machine. Then she meets Miriam, an Orthodox Jewish woman intent upon feeding her. As the two grow closer, they set in motion a journey marked by appetites of physical hunger, sexual desire, and spiritual longing. That is so intriguing. Like, that gives me nothing. I'm intrigued. And Big Swiss sounds equally strange. Also, like, what is this cover? This cover is just like so incredibly weird. That's so strange. Big Swiss, that's Greta's nickname for her. She's tall and she's from Switzerland. Well, that's how Greta imagines her. They haven't actually met in person, nor has Greta actually ever been to Switzerland. What Greta doesn't know is that she's about to bump into Big Swiss in the local dog park. A new and not entirely honest relationship is going to be born. A relationship that will transform both of their lives. And the Times says it's bold, funny, a darkly off-kilter rom-com. That sounds like fun. Very, very fun. I'm very intrigued. I need to go out for dinner now and I need to put on some powder on my face because this... I'm not sure how much of this glow is from the facial now and how much of it is just sweat, to be perfectly honest with you. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know which one of these books you think I should read first. And let me know if you prefer like long form haul videos or actually like sit down and read the blurbs and tell you about them. Or if you'd like prefer to see these kind of videos in like short form. Because I never really know. I like to film long videos, but short form is a bit easier. But also, like, I like to chat. So I don't know. Let me know what kind of content you guys prefer. Let me know which one of these you think I should read first, because I want to read this one first, I think. Also, Neon Roses as well. I don't know. Or any of them. Who knows? If you like this big gay book haul and you're not subscribed to this channel, then what are you doing? Click that subscribe button. Come and join our weird little gay book cult that we've got going on here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Another email right as I'm signing off. That's good. I'm not going to do that again.